You think company values are just for big corporations? Think again. If you're a solo entrepreneur or you run a small team, having strong company values might just be the game changer you didn't know you needed. Hey, it's Ayla, and you are listening to the Female Entrepreneurs Network podcast. And you guessed it, today's episode is about values. I actually internally named this episode Values for Tiny Teams, stating how important it is to have company values, even if you're all alone or you have a small team. So, if you want to know more about that, stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Ayla, and for over a decade, I've been dedicated to helping entrepreneurs thrive. Welcome to the Female Entrepreneurs Network podcast. Here, we focus on personal growth so your business can grow alongside you. Discover how to optimize your business, elevate your mindset, and truly feel and act like a CEO. This is more than just business, it's about transforming your entire entrepreneurial journey. Join me on this path to unlock your fullest potential.
Hello, my darling. Welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for tuning in today to this brand new episode. Today, I wanted to address a mistake that I heard one of my coaching clients make. She said, I'm just one person. Why the heck do I need company values? And that's a mistake. Many solopreneurs, let's focus on solopreneurs here for a bit. Taking myself as an example, I am a solopreneur, but I do have a small team of VAs. So they're flexible. I consider them my team, but they're not really my team. So let's just name people like me solopreneurs. I think that many of us identify as being flexible. We want to be adaptable. And very often, especially mompreneurs, we focus on getting things done. But without clear values, you risk inconsistency, you risk decision fatigue, you risk, burnout, basically, is what it boils down to. Because without defined values for your company, every decision you make feels like starting from scratch. Maybe that's a bit over the top, but think of it like this. Imagine running around in a forest without a compass. It's not gonna get you out of the woods very easily and quickly if you're going at it like that. This is what running a business without values looks like. You end up saying yes to the wrong clients, you work on projects that drain you, you're creating a business that doesn't actually align with the life you want. There's been a study on solopreneurs that found that solopreneurs who consciously align their business with their personal values, which is easy if you're a solopreneur, they experience higher satisfaction and a more long-term commitment than entrepreneurs who didn't align their company's business, their company's values with their personal values. To give you an example for myself, if I didn't keep my authenticity in check, authenticity is one of my personal values and also values of my brand, I would become unhappy very quickly. I come from Holland originally, and I am very Dutch. I'm a hyper direct potty mouth. If I were to present myself online, online in this podcast, whatever, towards potential future clients, if I presented myself as very, very mindful, very demure, very, maybe a shy person, I think that my coaching clients would get I'm laughing because I know how I am in coaching calls, and I know that my coaching clients would get a massive shock if I were to present myself online other than I actually am in real life. I drop F-bombs left and right, and I call them out on their bullshit very directly. So, yes, without authenticity, that wouldn't work. I would have to play a role of not being myself because I would want to please others by holding myself back and something like that. In our company, I want everyone to come as they are. That's the first core value. It's also because my values are handily noted as A, B, C, D, E. But still, authenticity is the first one because I want every one of my team members to come as they are. Because it's important to me to feel like yourself, to feel safe, to feel appreciated for who you are, and to not have to wear a mask towards your boss. Sound familiar? For me, it does sound familiar. I used to do that all the time when I worked for a boss way back when. I would definitely wear a mask and it would cost me a lot of energy, and I don't want that ever for anyone in my company. Yeah, sorry, long story to tell you about why authenticity is important for me. And eh, since it's this important, I made it in one of my brand values because I want other people who work with me to feel like this as well. I want my clients to be able to show up as they are, being a mess and all. I mean, that's why they need coaching in the first place. So yeah, authenticity. It aligns with my personal way of being. It's a very good match. Okay, to make a long story longer, flip it for a second. If you're still thinking about, okay, that sounds cool, but still, why would I spend my valuable time defining my company values? I don't have enough time as it is. But, turn it around. Imagine if big companies didn't reinforce the values they created. What would that look like? Take Hilton, for example, the hotel chain Hilton. I take Hilton as an example because I used to work there. We're talking 2011? 2011? Yes, 2011. Okay. That's when I worked there for 2 years. And I worked in the reception area as a guest service supervisor, so supervisor of the reception of the hotel. And when you work at the reception area, you work in shifts. Of course, you can be there 24 hours a day. Every shift gets a handover about what's going on in the hotel at that moment. What are we expecting? Blah, 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 blah. During each handover, we would repeat the company values. Our supervisor would ask us all kinds of questions, and one of them always was, what are the company values? I think I still know them. Hilton. They also used the name for the values, which is amazing. Maybe I want to circle back to it later. Maybe not. It's very clear. Make it a word, make it an A, B, C, D, E, something you can remember easily. Hilton, hospitality, innovation, leadership, teamwork, I guess. Ownership now, which I really like. I like the ownership now. Anyway, imagine walking into a Hilton hotel where no one is following the same service standards. Every employee would interpret good service differently. Some would greet guests warmly, others would ignore them. People wouldn't take ownership and just say, oh yeah, I'll fix it for you, and then don't fix it. It's stuff like that. Guest experience would become very inconsistent. This in turn would lead to frustration. Eventually, if this is going on in all the Hilton hotels, it would lead to a lack in trust in the brand. Like the people wouldn't want to come to Hilton hotels anymore because their service is always a bit wonky. Having clear values like that, it gives you a clear direction of what's expected of you. You're avoiding confusion. Basically, you get a better service overall because people know what's expected of them. This is what the company stands for, and this is what I need to adhere to as well when I work here. While I was in the thick of it, I often found it very repetitive. I mean, every day you're just standing there and you see it like almost 15 years later. Yes, that's almost 15 years later. I can still remember them, like they're ingrained in my brain. But I do think it's a good thing, especially in the reception area. You have a high turnover of people, there's part-timers, etc., etc. I think it's very good that you keep reinforcing that and make sure that the people who work there they have this it's top of mind when you work there. I think that if you didn't do this, I think it would become chaos pretty quickly. Maybe not like mayhem chaos, but still expectations would be wrong over the entire board. If you apply this to your solo business, why are you above this? Like, if $1 billion company can't function without good company values, why would you expect to be able to run without it? So, what if instead of running your business based on what feels right in a moment, you had a clear set of guiding principles to lead you? It could help if this is something you struggle with. It's things that you stand for. What kind of clients do you want to work with? What kind of services do you want to offer? What level of services do you want to offer? What's non-negotiable in your business or for your personality? I've seen research that suggests that solopreneurs who define their values early on in their business build stronger brands and attract clients that fit them better. I think that makes a lot of sense. Imagine having those brand values clear for you. You would create a stronger brand to just start there. You would create a stronger brand, which then in turn attracts the right people, clients, but also people you work together with. What's the word? Collaborators, your audience in general. So the people who watch you, listen to you, etc. It would be easier to make decisions. You're not overthinking every opportunity you get because it's easier to say no to things that don't align with your values. You get more fulfillment, you get more balance because you're building a business that aligns with your life, with who you are, with what you stand for. Then all of this in turn creates a more long-term sustainability. I remember working in a recruitment company. I don't remember if we had values. I don't think we had values. Maybe they were there, but they were buried somewhere deep. It was a highly sales-driven organization. Basically, the value was make money. That's what it boiled down to. It was one of those typical, you see these things on TV. It's a bit, they played Wolf of Wall Street in the office because that's the vibe they wanted to get out there. So that's what we're talking about here. I remember that one of my bosses used to complain. I was the only girl in the beginning. Like when there were 25 guys and me, we hired the first other female in the company. So for a long time, it was a very masculine environment. And I was automatically the person they came to complain to. And one of the bosses complained to me saying, why are they not as motivated as we are? And I explained it to them. I said, it's very simple. It's not their company. They are here to trade their time for money, preferably a lot of money. And that's what they do. If you want your employees to care about the company like you do, you have to make them work towards a vision with you. You need to transfer your vision onto them so they know where you want to go in the future, what you stand for, what's important for you, for the company, etc. As long as you don't have that, they will just come in and trade their time for money and don't care about the company at all. One of my coachees had a similar kind of problem where she has a store and she had an employee who consistently lost stuff, like stock stuff, the stuff they sold in the store. And she didn't care. It's a fashion store, so they have sets of earrings, and she would lose one and vacuum clean and throw things over and then accidentally vacuum clean half of an earring set. So we talked about her company values. Why is this important to you other than it's costing you money if you lose stuff? But why is it important to you that you don't want to lose money? You get to ask questions and questions and questions until you get onto one of your values. We'll get to that in a bit. So we got to one of her values, and then it's of course needed to also transfer that value, that vision onto the employees. Otherwise, you can define values all you want, but it's not going to do anything for you. Okay, so let's think about your values. If you don't have them yet, think with me here. If you had to pick 3 words that define your business value, what would they be? It's as simple as that. Start there. What's important to you as a person? If you are an employee in a company, what would be important for you? Those things could be your company values. And then you would use those values in your daily business. You use them in content creation, you use them in your pricing, you use them in your client selection, you use them in your goal setting, etc. So I'm just going to give you the company values that I have for the Female Entrepreneurs Network. As I said earlier, I wanted to be able to remember it, so it's an ABCDE, starting with authenticity, and I'm just going to read them to you. Because for each word, I have a little 2-sentence explanation. When I onboard someone new, I recently hired someone to help me with my social media, for example. I sent her the link to the company docs, to the company values, and asked her to read them as well, so she knows what she can expect when she works with me. So A is for authenticity, which says, this is important for fostering an honest, transparent culture, both internally and with clients. It keeps our team and brand genuine in everything we do. The freedom to be who you are, embrace your own energy, and not be judged by any of that. The B stands for balance. Obviously, it's what I teach, and it's what I find very important for me and for the people who work with me as well. We value healthy boundaries. Our own mental, emotional, and physical well-being lies at the core of being able to show up as our best selves. Only then can we pour into the business and create the ripple effect to make our clients feel that way too. C stands for clarity, which for me is very important as well. Clear communication, expectations, and goals help everyone on the team stay aligned with the overall vision and long-term goals. Clarity provides clear, actionable strategies that will simplify your business. And then I'll stop reading the explanations. I think you get the gist of it by now. The D is development, because I want ourselves and our company to always be moving forward, always be growing. And the E stands for efficiency. Obviously, it's also one of the things I teach my clients. It's something that's important to me, clearly. So I want a lean and focused operation. This then translates into clear communication with clients, having systems in place that safeguard efficiency, make sure that we don't have meetings that run too long, be clear in goals and how we are working towards them, be clear in giving feedback back and forth. Don't go swallowing your feelings because you're afraid you're going to hurt someone. Voice what you have to say, and then we can do something with it. If not, it's just going to simmer under the surface. Development. For me, it's important that everyone keeps growing. So that would be the personal part of it. Company-wise, it would mean right now AI, something like that. When it's up and coming, I use a lot of AI for my company in all kinds of ways. I'm sure that's going to continue on developing the coming years. And I want us to stay on top of that, to make sure that we're always growing and not getting stagnant. And then, of course, there's also the client part. I want to work with clients who are coachable, who are open to personal development. There are tons of people out there who are looking for a coach, but when you actually get to the point, they're not coachable at all. I don't want that type of client to work with. I want people who are enthusiastic about making all kinds of changes. So you see, even the word development has several layers in which you can look at it in the company. So if you're looking at things that are important for yourself, also look at them from different angles to see if you can apply them to several parts of your business. If you're not sure about how to find your values, I would advise you to look at the goals you've set for yourself. Excuse me. When you look at a goal you've set, you ask yourself, why is this important to me? And then again, why is this important to me? Why is this important to me? And you ask yourself, why is this important to me, just as many times as it takes you to get to a one word, a value. So, for example, right now I'm thinking about something big, something that you see it a lot online. It's one of my higher goals as well. Retire my husband. I would love to retire my husband. When I ask myself, why is this important to me? I eventually get to the place where I say, I love him. How do I say this in English? I love him and I want him to be able to enjoy the life that he wants to lead the most. I happen to know what that is, and it contains a lot of freedom. So there you have it. There is a value there that's freedom. It starts with me wanting to retire my husband to make sure that he'll get the freedom that I hope he gets to enjoy. You could also end up in, like, way on the other side, you could end up in an answer where you say, I want to retire my husband because I want to prove to him that I can be the person who's making money in this relationship. Eventually, you'll find out that the whole reason you had for a goal is maybe not that great, is a negative. You want to prove something to someone. I recently had this discussion with a coaching client who wants to write a book. Like, why do you want to write a book? And she said, my mother didn't allow me to dream and have fantasy when I was younger. And I want to prove to her that I can use my fantasy and that this is okay for me to do. And that's a negative. If you're here to write a book to bring joy into the world, that's amazing. But if you're doing it to prove something to someone, it's very strained and it doesn't flow or align. I hope you catch my drift because I find it very hard to put this into words. So yeah, eventually when you keep asking yourself, if you look at your goals, why is this important? Why is this important? You'll probably end up with some values when you have them. What's important to do is communicate them. How often are you communicating your values to your team? You don't have to do it every day, like I did at Hilton, obviously. But it's good to repeat them every once in a while, to send them out again to your team, to print them out for yourself if you're working by yourself. So whatever you do, if you're content creating, for example, for me, the authenticity part comes back a lot in the content creation that I do. Am I writing something because I've seen it for someone else? I have clients in the United States, and that's a very different culture than my Dutch background. When I worked and lived in Vancouver for a year, I very often got called out because I was being too potty-mouthed, because I was using big words and they did not appreciate it when I did that. So I know by now that my American clients are less direct than I am, and that I have to tread carefully now and then to not hurt their feelings. So for me, the balance is always around authenticity, being myself, reining myself in a bit, but not too much so that it doesn't feel authentic anymore. So if you're working for yourself, yeah, print them out so you communicate them to yourself. Then if you have people working with you, recognize their efforts to work towards the values, maybe not towards, but in line with the values. I had a client last year who has a hospitality business, and she had values that she wanted to address, like a level of service. This was all in her head. She had an employee who was suggesting things. Sorry, sometimes it's very hard to explain a situation without naming a client or too clearly describing what's going on in their business, because I don't like to do that. I like to keep their privacy. So I'm trying to find a balance in what I can say and can't say. Either way, she had this employee who was giving her ideas, and she was just shutting down the ideas. Just all no, 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 this is not a great idea. No, no, we're not going to do it. No, we're not going to do that. So if you have someone who is trying to work towards your values, but maybe not grasping where you're getting at, adjust it together. And then your employee can see in what scenario their idea would be accepted and see how you would adjust it so it matches your values. Then the next time they give you an idea, it will be a better idea because they know what you're looking for. And then the next time better, and the next time better, etc., etc. So feel free. That's basically what it boils down to. Feel free to, if you're giving feedback to someone about something, to literally take the company values into account and say, I like your idea, but this is what we stand for, and this doesn't completely align, etc., etc. If you have an even bigger team, one great way to do this is to recognize employees out in the open. It feels very good to get recognition in front of others. Duh, you know this. And it makes them want to do it again. Then in turn, it makes the rest want to do it again as well. Want to do it too, I should say. Another thing to do that's really great is encourage input from your teammates, your employees. So for example, the client of mine who had the employee who lost the earrings, if you see that someone doesn't care, make them care. And that sounds like you're stuffing her face into something like, I'm gonna make you care. That's not what I'm talking about. Take them with you when you're buying stock. Let them pick pieces that they like and then give them feedback as to why you do or you don't accept their suggestions based on your ideal client, and your ideal client has to do with your values. Another example I have from my days in the recruitment agency is that I wanted to implement a financial system. I ran a $1 million, euros business. Well, I didn't run it, but I ran the financial administration for a €1 million business in spreadsheets, in Excel, and in Word, because they didn't have a financial system and they didn't want it. When I brought this up, I immediately got shut down. But if he would have said, okay, show me how this can help us, show me how the costs for a system would be of an advantage to us, we could have had a conversation. And then he could have said, one of the company values is efficiency. And I would have said, this system aligns with your value of working more efficient. And if he would have said this, one of our values is to be as cost efficient as possible, then I would have said, okay, maybe not this system. Could we look at another one? You find a common ground. If you do this with your team, I think you'll find quickly that values become more top of mind when you encourage them to input on it. So here's your challenge for today to round it off. If you don't have values yet, start by defining your 3 most important values. Be it money, be it freedom, be it alignment, be it balance, authenticity, leadership, ownership, timeliness, whatever it may be. Honestly, if you're not sure, there are lists online you can look at and see what resonates with you the most. But pick 3 of them, things that feel very important to you, and make them visible for yourself, for your team, and start using them as a business compass. Try it out in small things like content creation. When you think about your ideal client, look at the goals that you're setting. find 3 and see where it brings you. And if you need any help, of course, with clarifying your values, clarifying your vision, I encourage you to check out my free balance toolkit. I created it to help you build a business that actually works for you by becoming vision driven, to make everything align better, and values falls under that umbrella as well. All right, thank you so much for listening, and I will see you in the next episode. Have a lovely day. Bye bye.
Thank you so